If buyers keep asking you for more photos, or you're losing sales to sellers with cleaner listings than yours, and you've got no ring light, no studio, and not even a tidy room, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you today how I take photographs of clothing at home when I can't make it to the studio. It costs nothing and it really works. Hi Fleek family, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to smash the subscribe button, hit the like button and turn the bell notification on so you never miss when we post. I'm so happy to be talking you through this because it's one of my favourite things. It's so creative and I absolutely love the dynamic of photography for all the different apps, especially Depop and eBay and Vinted. So without further ado, we're just going to get into it. This brings me to the first section to talk about, which is the one window setup. All you need is a window. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's natural lighting and it just works. And here's why. Soft, indirect, natural lighting is what you're after, which makes your garment pop. A north-facing window is really ideal, and I found that that one works the best. But any window, as long as you're not in direct sunlight, will work perfectly. If the lighting is still harsh, then I've experimented with this and it really works. All you have to do is drape over a sheer or net curtain over the window, and that's your diffuser sorted. I always try and shoot as well at the same time of day each day where the lighting is the most perfect, especially in the summer months. In the winter, there's only so many hours of direct sunlight that you can actually get. So I would say that just stick to the time that works for you so that all of your photographs online look consistent with the same strong lighting, especially if you've opted for natural light. Essentially, what you want is all of your listings to look like they're the same shop. If you found that direct sunlight hits your window around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, try and shoot it either 10 o'clock in the morning or 4 p.m. When the lighting is less harsh. Just pick one time and stick to it. This now leads me to talk about backgrounds, which is my favourite part. I've experimented over the years with so many different backgrounds, that's for sure. And I have got to say, I don't even think I'm really set on one of them because I love them all so much. Now, you don't actually really need a smart or a crazy background or a backdrop. Here are 3 free options that you probably have lying around your house. You don't even realise it, and they're actually free and you can use them today. If you've got a neutral wall or a door, that's a perfect starting point. If you have a linen or a satin sheet that you could drape behind you, that also works. And you just have to pin it with drawing pins or anything you can find to literally just drape it or hang it or hook it, whatever works. Get creative with it and see what happens. Or it could just be a corner of your room where you have a little plant growing and the lighting just hits really well there. So finding something that works for you, get creative with it, what matches your aesthetic, build a little background around it if you really want to, using things you already have. And I tell you now, if you do start to get creative with this now, you will see really good results. And usually it's my favorite part of the whole process of reselling. Anything that's causing clutter or chaos in the background, I would recommend just pulling it away to the side. Even if you have to build your setup, that's something that really works. And if you've got a space that you can use where your background is always up, then that's also good. But obviously, if you're just doing this from your bedroom, you might have to do what I used to do and set it up every single time with a mirror or put the tripod up. So just do things like that. But usually a plain background will work every single time. You could have the same item against a wall, or you could have the same item against a bookshelf and a wall. Which one do you think is going to sell better? Because I can guarantee you now that it's probably the clean background. The piece needs to be the full focus and nothing else. Which now brings me to talk about styling for resale, not just for Instagram. And this is where most resellers will accidentally tank their own sales without realizing it. And that just comes down to overstyling. You actually need no accessories or 1 to 2 accessories maximum. So this could be a necklace and a bag or anything like that, or a bracelet or a hat. Whatever works for you, but don't overcomplicate it. For modeling jeans, for example, you could thread a belt through to see how it's going to look with a belt. You could add a scarf to a top. The piece that you've chosen to sell is what you're selling, and that needs to stand out the most, not the accessories. You just need enough to show how the piece works and then just stop. When there's too much going on, sometimes the buyer doesn't actually know what they're buying, and I'm sure this has happened to you when scrolling on Depop or Vinted, because it's definitely happened to me before. When it gets to that point and the buyer doesn't even know what you're selling, then they usually just scroll past and find something else. The item is a product, not an aesthetic. So always remember that. Obviously on Instagram you can get creative and build the aesthetic, but when you are selling the garment on Depop, especially on Depop, make sure that it is just the garment that is standing out the most. Your conversion rate will be dramatically higher if you do these things. So just make sure your background's clean and you're not wearing loads and loads of accessories, and make sure the item that you're selling really stands out and the buyer knows exactly what they're buying. The next step that we're going to talk about is fabric truth telling. So with your photos, don't just photograph what the item looks like on. Get up close with the fabric and take photographs of the fabric and list them as well. Even if it is just the pattern of the garment, that will work. Also, if the garment has wear or bubbles, just angle your phone to the side to literally show them lifting out of the fabric, because then the buyer can see exactly if there's any defects, and it just gives that evidential proof as well, and trust. When you're obviously starting your reselling business, you want to make sure that you gain that trust with the buyer right from the start before they've even received their order. It literally flows me on nicely to talk about flaws. Always photograph any flaws that you find. Check the garment over a million times if you really need to make sure that there are no flaws, or if there are flaws, photograph them and add them to your descriptions and your listings and in the photos as well. I know it sounds very counterintuitive, but trust me, if you've got this listed and it's inside the description and it's in the photos as well, it does save you returns in the future when the buyer obviously receives that item. You've shown this exactly in your listings of how it should be, then you will get fewer returns, which means that you do have more happy customers and more 5-star reviews. And like I've said, it is crucial to do these things, so just make sure that you are implementing them into your photos. So I think we should talk about fixing glare on metallic or silk fabrics. Essentially, glare is just light bouncing straight back off you onto the camera lens. That's all it is. There's 3 fixes that you can do at home, and they don't cost anything either. This sounds ridiculous, but if you hang a white tea towel or a white t-shirt just in the middle of the light where the light's coming through, it just stops it and counters it, because what you're doing is softening the light, which just works really well. Angle the item that you're photographing, especially if you're modeling it, just angle it slightly away from the window, and this will actually make the reflection go sideways rather than into the lens. I suppose this might just be physics at the end of the day, but it really works. And then the last one that I'm going to talk about, this is brilliant actually. You can actually bounce the light off a white wall rather than just shooting in direct sunlight. The difference is massive. I'll show you on a satin blouse, but this is pretty much the same window, just different results. So I hope those help you. Write them down, give them a go. Let me know how you got on with those tips. The next thing we're going to talk about is your prep routine. So this is something that you're going to do before you even start photographing your items. What you're going to try and do is steam the items if you can, if you've got a steamer or if you have an iron, or if you don't have one of those things in your house, or you can't invest in them. I'd recommend that if you can invest in them, do it. If not, hanging them up in an airing cupboard or in a bathroom works as well, because the steam from the hot water usually will make the creases disappear. Always remember as well to lint roll the clothing before you photograph it. If there's any light bits of fluff, you want those out of the picture. And just make sure that there's no loose threads or dangling buttons. And if there is, just do these quick fixes before you photograph the item. It only takes a few minutes to do this, to just fix it so it looks more professional. Sometimes if you do it this way, you can actually bump the price up a little bit too. Sometimes you genuinely can't fix garments, and that's fine. Just make sure that you photograph the flaw if you can't fix it and mention it in the description as well. Difference perceived in a wrinkled shot versus a nice, smooth, really nice shot is amazing. And to be honest, I found that those garments tend to sell faster and usually at a higher rate as well. So it might be that they sell faster and for a higher price if they look nice. No one wants to buy crumpled clothes at the end of the day, so just make sure that you take pride as a reseller, especially if you're modeling your shots, to make them look really nice. It's honestly the easiest upgrade that you can make today. Which now brings us to the next section, coverage shots and movement. Buyers always want to know what the piece really looks like when it's on and when it's being worn before they actually get it in real life. On Depop, you can actually add a video. There's a feature that you can do this, so you could do a full 360 spin of the garment if you really wanted to. If you're not comfortable yet to do a video, then there's also ways that you can show it through photographs. Sometimes you can just pull the skirt out, or you can pull the sleeve out to show how it drapes on the arm if you're modeling it. If you've got a skirt and it's just hanging down, you might want to pull it up to show them how it's going to sort of swoosh about. Anything like that really works because it gives them some form of visibility and looking at how it's going to fit, how it's going to sit, and how it's going to drape. Please include the close-ups of the labels, the buttons, the embroidery, if there's any badges or if there's patches. get those in. And sometimes you can go into layout on Instagram as well, and you can actually set it up so you can pick 2-3 pictures and merge them all together so it becomes one picture, because I know that there's a maximum on Depop of how many pictures you can upload. You might do something like this. Usually the details that make vintage worth buying, so just take a mental note of that. Items like scarves and jewellery and bags, you might just want to use a stool or use something that you can sort of move it and rotate it to show all of the different angles. And sometimes if it is jewellery, you might even want to put it on yourself as well and photograph it that way, especially with scarves, so people can see the length of the scarf and how it's going to fit. A little top tip as well that you can do in the description when photographing is to say that the model wears UK 10 and is 5'5". That's usually me, but it might be different for you, so just write that in there as well, because usually if that's the case, the buyer can literally put themselves in your shoes, even if they're not the same size or they might be the same size. It really gives them a clear indication of how it might look on them too. This is the last topic we're going to cover, which is edits. So I do see a lot of people editing photos, and I edit my own photos. I do this in Canva, and it's completely fine to do it as long as you're not actually touching the actual product that you're selling. So I literally use the tools on Canva to essentially pull up the brightness of the background to make it look like the garment's popping and the lights are brighter than what they are. You can do this too. It's a really simple way and it's a simple format. You just need to be able to edit the background rather than the whole focus of the front focus. So essentially all you're going to do is edit the background, not the actual model in shot. That's what I do here. I get a lot of questions as to how I edit my photos and what camera I use and stuff, but I do tend to go in and edit them after in Canva. I'm not actually touching the model shot, I'm only messing with the background, and that's something crucial to note. You will feel misled if the item turns up and it's not the same colour as what it's shown in the photos. If you've enhanced the saturation of an orange top when it should be yellow, then that's going to be a problem. You can just add tiny tweaks to this, so just be careful in how you're editing. Make it look nice, but also make it feel realistic as well. And sometimes you don't even have to edit the shots either. If you're just starting out, usually natural lighting is the best way, but always touch the background. Try not to touch the model shot if you can. Make sure that the garment looks how it does in real life, and you can't go too far wrong. And if you are looking for stock for your vintage shops, then make sure that you do go and check out Fleek Vintage Wholesale today. We are a vintage wholesale marketplace where you can shop from thousands of different vendors from all across the world, and we will have something that will meet your needs. Have it in stock with one of our vendors. You can shop through the exact bundles or handpick or use representative bundles. All the information is down in the description box below, and there's a link as well if you want to go and join today. So to conclude this video, try the one window setup this week, with a one consistent time and a one clean background. And that alone will literally change how your shop looks. Let me know in the comments section, which one did you try, if not all of them, and let me know how you found it. I would really love to hear back from each and every one of you, so please do let me know how you get on. Also as well, tag your shops below if you're dropping a comment. We'd love to see how your shops turned out. I really hope this video has helped you and you found it really useful. Thank you ever so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.